This is a reading, today's first reading for Mass. It's from the Acts of the Apostles. Some who had come down from Judea were instructing the brothers, "Unless you are circumcised according to the law of Moses, you cannot be saved." Because there arose no little dissension and debate by Paul and Barnabas with them, it was decided that Paul, Barnabas, and some of the others should go up to Jerusalem to the apostles and presbyters about this question. They were sent on their journey by the church and passed through Phoenicia and Samaria, telling of the conversion of the Gentiles, and brought great joy to all the brothers and sisters. When they arrived in Jerusalem, they were welcomed by the church, as well as by the apostles and the presbyters, and they reported what God had done with them. But some from the party of the Pharisees who had become believers stood up and said, "It is necessary to circumcise them and direct them to observe the law of Moses." The apostles and presbyters met together to see about this matter. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. In a high school, a sophomore girl was putting up a poster on the wall, and she was having trouble. And so this freshman girl says, "You want me to help you?" And the sophomore girl snapped back, "I don't need your help." And so the freshman girl just shrugged and walked along. Later on in the day, she saw that poster that she was putting up, and you know what the poster said? "Working together, we can do anything." And yet here's this girl who put it up who didn't want to work with anybody. She was misguided, misled. And the same kind of thing was happening in our first reading here today, because there were some Jewish Christians who believed that in order to be saved, you still had to follow not only Jesus, but you had to follow the law of Moses. You know, circumcision, kosher, all those things, you know, the 613 laws that are in Exodus and Leviticus and Deuteronomy. And so they were saying you had to do this. And Paul and Barnabas were like, "No way. Those things are not going to save you." And so they got in this really big argument. The reading says no little dissension. But believe me, other translations say it was a very heated argument and exchange. And what Paul and Barnabas were trying to tell them was that, you know, kosher, not eating pork, is not going to save you. All right? Following the 613 laws about washings and rituals and purifications is not going to save you. Jesus Christ is going to save you. And so, as you heard at the end of the reading, they said we're going to meet with the apostles and hash this out. And so they did. And the end result is, of course, that Peter spoke up and said, "I'm beginning to see now God doesn't show any partiality. God doesn't show any differences between all of us, and we don't have to follow, the Gentile Christians do not have to follow the law of Moses." So, for you and me, that's kind of good, because if it went the other way, you and I would not be eating pork or bacon or sausage on any morning. And so we follow what the apostles decided on, that Jesus is the one that can save us from our sins and not some of those rules and laws. So the question I want to just leave with you today is this. When it comes to dealing with people who are misguided, like that young sophomore girl in the story, or like some of the Jewish Christians insisting upon the law of Moses to be followed, when some people are misguided, how do you react? How do you deal with it? Do you put more irons in the fire, and just try to stoke them up and get them even madder? Are you tolerant? Are you patient? Do you just try to keep quiet, or do you antagonize? And so we always run into people who might be misled or misguided and think differently than we do. And so I think the solution is to try to follow what the apostles did. They got together and they hashed it out. And I think when we do that, things will work out for the better.